is a woman who is 33 years old and makes roughly $54,000 a year. She grew up in Puerto Rico and ended up moving over to Miami with her family, where they started a restaurant business. From there on, she moved to Orlando. Her family took care of her while she studied to get her degree in social work.
I think based off of her social work, we kind of decided that she wanted to do hobbies such as like yoga, gardening, volunteering for Clean the World, stuff like that. That's where we kind of got her background, hobbies, and lifestyle choices.
Those characteristics kind of made us interpret that she would be an open-minded and caring individual. Because of that, we feel like she would be okay with being bisexual, and that's where she would get to explore what she is seeking in a relationship with someone else.
Her past relationships actually led to some roadblocks in the future when she was planning on having children and looking for children, which made her hesitant on finding love.
She has a little bit of commitment issues because of this and actually suffered from a miscarriage at one point in her life. Because of this, she has a little bit of issues with coming to terms with finding a child. Because she's a social worker, we figured she might run into the case of adoption.
Well, and we get to find that out in the future challenges.
When we were picking out a name for Angela Lopez, we wanted to find one that would have some sort of a nickname to find connection to her family, as well as give her a more open and caring personality that's associated with her name.
We went through a couple. I think we all decided Angela Lopez was the coolest one because we could call her Angie.
She has one brother, George Lopez, which we thought was a funny, iconic trope to the name that is famous today. Her two parents, Carlos and Maria, spent time at their restaurant back in Miami.
So for the second challenge, we had to work on our budget with Angie. And we had a couple roadblocks.
A couple?
I feel like it also has to do with the fact that we're all college kids, so we don't really focus too heavily on budgeting on life, especially with someone with her career salary.
She had a lot of money that we didn't really know where to allocate.
Disposable income that wouldn't be disposable in the future.
And then as well, one of the biggest challenges we had was the case with the average of her getting salary. So she was getting paid bi-weekly. We had to put that into the incorporation, as well as that there are some certain months that have 3 paydays.
You can only plan for life so exactly when it's not exact in the future.
In challenge 3, we were introduced to Angie's boyfriend, who we named Samuel Vasquez. Samuel is 25 years old and a recent UCF grad that has gone back to UCF and now doubles as a TA. He and Angie met on a Clean the World project, and they immediately hit it off. Once they met the first weekend, they went back and back and back, and they talked more and more every single time that they were volunteering. Angie started to open up fairly quickly about the loss of her child from years past, and in turn Samuel opened up too about the loss of his parents that he experienced. This way of going about this relationship developed very, very quickly, and for them, they broke down all the barriers that Angie had put up, and they fell in love fairly quickly. And with that, Samuel decided to pop the question despite their age differences.
We were able to plan a beautiful and traditional Latin-style wedding near Angela's parents' home in Miami, Florida at the White Pantry. It was a little difficult to do it with the one woman's income, as he was just a TA, but we were able to accomplish it through her gardening skills, her artsy abilities, and her parents' help with their Puerto Rican style food from their restaurant, as well as interns from UCF through event management. And
due to our small budget based on only her income, as he was not currently employed, we had to try to finagle and piece together small, intimate bachelor and bachelorette parties. For her, we decided at a weekend at Quantum Leap Winery, and then a hotel with a bunch of her friends, and he got a few of his buddies together and they went on a fishing trip. This was nice and affordable and also very intimate, and allowed them to have their nice end of their bachelor days.
And after all of the planning was done, they were able to set sail on a Norwegian cruise after tying the knot.
Hey everyone, Austin here, checking in as one of the devil's advocates for Challenge 3. Well, first and foremost, there were a bunch of small obstacles that we had to overcome as a team, which I had to step in and step back and help guide the decision making. So when it came to deciding for Angela's reception, for the habit at, we were quick to jump on the very first deal that we found, but I had to let the team know consider the following. Like, what's included in the deal? What's the catch? Are there any high crime rates in the area? And so on and so forth. My whole issue with that was just about the safety of Angela as well as the guests and Sam as well. And then another issue that was faced was the fact that we initially wanted a decorative wooden pink chair as part of the wedding as well, but we decided not to have that due to the fact that we needed our resources to go to something else, such as the actual reception.
My name's Kate. I'm also one of the devil's advocates for Challenge 3. One of the problems we really had was deciding if we wanted to give Angela her dream wedding. So within the budget, we definitely changed the alcohol a little bit, and we decided to do cases of beer and wine for the Puerto Rican wedding, because of course it's a Puerto Rican wedding. We also decided to do eco-friendly wooden rings. That was a small detail that was really important to us to showcase both of their characters. And lastly, we decided that we wanted to do flower arrangements, but we weren't sure if we wanted her to do them herself or if we wanted to go to an outside source. But we decided to save some money that she was going to do them herself because her favorite hobby was gardening.
We're having a baby!
So we were the leaders in Challenge 4, and Challenge 4, our biggest hurdle was deciding whether we wanted IVF or adoption. As a group, we decided to adopt. Not only did we want to adopt, we wanted to adopt domestically versus foreign. After considering the factors, this was the most important. It met Sam's needs of really wanting a newborn baby, and it also fit Angela's character, considering she was a social worker. And from the very beginning in Challenge 1, we decided it would be really cute if Angela adopted a baby because she was a social worker.
Okay, so basically we decided that Angela would become part-time because Samuel got a full-time job that would mirror all her benefits, and we thought it was important that Angela did become part-time so she could have this bonding time with her baby. Since it's not her actual baby and she adopted it, it was important that she has this moment to have the attachment theory come and she can give the baby the love it needs when growing and developing. So basically now she's going to become a part-time worker and she won't have the benefits she had before, but she does plan to return to work as soon as her baby hits the preschool stage of the life cycle, and then she will try to become a full-time worker and hopefully gain all her benefits as well.
So then from here, from the part-time and the full-time benefits, from Angie and Sam's salaries, we also had to discuss a new budget. So we took their old budget from Challenge 3 and decided we would delete things like Treat Yourself and our travel fund to have adoption fees ready for the baby once it comes and for the baby's needs in general, like baby furniture, baby food, and clothing. So we took all those things and created a new budget. It was kind of tricky because we had to take Angie's budget and take out the 401k, and then Sam's budget had to have the 401k. So it was a little challenging, but we definitely created a new budget to give Sam's needs, Angie's needs, and our new future hopeful baby. But I guess we'll find out in Challenge 5 what baby we get.
We're the devil's advocates for challenge number 4.
So for challenge number 4, we were having a baby, and we had some major decisions to make. We had to choose between adoption and artificial insemination. We decided against artificial insemination because of costs and a lot of other factors.
When we were looking at adoption, we had to decide between domestic or international, and we chose against international because of travel expenses, the cost of it as a whole, as well as the fact that Angie's now husband, Samuel, wanted a newborn baby.
In Challenge 5, we had a really bad tragedy. Unfortunately, Samuel died in a car accident. He wasn't being smart and he was texting while driving. So Angie had to pick herself up by her bootstraps and plan a funeral. She knew that Sam would want his body donated to science, so that's exactly what she did. And then she knew that she wanted Stella to have a place for her to visit him. So we got a beautiful flat marker stone, and that's what we decided to do for that.
So we were, as a group, rather quite devastated to find out that our beloved Samuel was no longer going to be with us. And we struggled a lot deciding on what would be the best course of action to take on with him post-mortem. And we struggled a lot between donating his body to science or perhaps cremating him and placing him in a special container where he would eventually grow into a tree. And in the end, we decided that aside from cremation and burial, the best option would be to donate his body to science because they were so devout to the world and they were so nature-driven and people-driven that we felt that they would be most looking into finding a way to give back to their community, give back to everyone else, because if he could help at least one other person, we knew that that would be something that he'd be glad to have taken part in. And along with that, we had a great time trying to figure out how to put everything together, and along as how to best commemorate him, to make sure that Stella has the best memory of Sam, and to help our beloved Angie find a way to cope with the tragedy and move on in a positive way where both of them have loving, kind memories of him and are able to move on together as a group and as a team in order to best raise Stella in the way that both Sam and Angie would have wanted her to live her best life.
Okay, so we were the devil advocates of Challenge 5, and the main thing we were really debating about is what we should do with the body because of the religious purposes.
Since they were very religious for their religion, we couldn't have a service because we wanted to donate the body to science, and with no body means we couldn't have the service at the church, so we ended up donating it. And then he was cremated and given back to us. We got a little plot for him and everything, and ended up having a memorial service for him in the park. It was very nice, and now Stella has a place to go see her father, and we also got like a little necklace with ashes in it.
So our biggest debate was whether we should have it in an enclosed environment or an outside environment for the ceremony. So instead, we just decided to do it at the park.
We couldn't have it in the church because we donated his body to science, so we decided in the park, and that definitely worked out better.
Hi everyone, so we finally made it to the last challenge. So hopefully by now you have a better understanding of who Angela is, where she's from, her family, as well as all of the trials and tribulations that she's experienced up to this point in life. But where does all of this lead? So following the events of Challenge 5, we begin to learn that Angela's daughter, Stella, is a lot older now. She has a wife and 2 adopted children. But man, it pains for me to say this, but Angela Lopez has passed away. Now, Stella, she's been anticipating this moment for quite some time, ever since she learned the passing of her father, and that we also discovered that Stella is a strong advocate of expressing her thoughts and emotions through songs and poems. So prior to Angela's memorial, she decides to write up a eulogy for her mother as a way to showcase her beauty, the strength, as well as the legacy of Angela Lopez's life for everyone that was close to Angie to celebrate and commemorate the life of the great Angela Lopez.
Sorry, we had some technical difficulties.
Just a couple.
Resuming.
When I thought about the ideas of the poem, I thought about as if my mom was at the funeral, and that would break my heart. Honestly, my mom has been with me, the only person that has been with me, so I was thinking as if I was writing a poem for her, and it kind of got to me, so that's how I was able to come up with the eulogy and everything of the poem.
As devil's advocates of Challenge 6, with the loss of Angie, we wanted to make sure that there was a good balance between the emotional side of it, as well as the raw side, as well as keeping the story intact and making sure that it flowed with the rest of the challenges. And I think that with this eulogy, we were able to do that.
So as a project as a whole, we're really happy with the choices that we have made Angela have, especially in the sense how Stella came out. She came out happy and have a close relationship with Angela, and at the end of the day, Stella was Angela's life. So it went to show everything that Angela put through for Stella. And we wanted to show Angela and all the choices that she went through to make sure that Stella is who she is today.
After Sam's passing, Angie decided she was ready to start dating casually again. She brought her partners home occasionally to help Stella visualize a role model who supports relationships with whomever, regardless of their gender. While her focus remained predominantly on Stella, she still felt like openly dating casually would show Stella anything is possible. One day, while Angie was at a Clean the World event, she passed out unexpectedly. After being rushed to the hospital and completing many tests, the doctors informed her that she unfortunately had stage 4 breast cancer. The doctor gave Angie many aggressive options, but Angie decided she wanted to enjoy the time she had left with her daughter by going out of the world the way that she came in, naturally. Stella watched as her mother withered away, which was hard to do. However, she understood that this is what her mother wanted. She cathartically released her grief by reciting a poem at her mother's funeral that served as a eulogy that immortalized the life her mother once lived. In this project, we learned the definition of being on a budget. As college students, it's difficult to imagine what the future holds, both bad and good. We have realized just how real some of the challenges our character has faced can be by experiencing true grief and overcoming adversity. The more we worked as a team, the more we learned how different some of our approaches to beating the odds to come out strong are. But we have also agreed that at the end of it all, we all wanted what was best for Angie, and we hope that we told her story well.
2, 3.